And we are live. This is WWM Sunday. We are here to review the pay per views that happened this past weekend and what's gone on in the world of wrestling for the last week and a half. So let's get into it. Um, this past weekend was pretty busy. You had No Surrender, there was an NJPW pay per view that happened, and also Elimination Chamber. So let's just delve into No Surrender, shall we? For the number one contendership to the TNA Championship. Eric Young is now the number one contender. Mustafa Ali is now the TNA X Division champion. And there's new women's tag team champions in MK Ultra. They defeated Decay to become the tag team champions. Eric Young again is the number one contender to Moose's TNA Heavyweight Championship. And Mustafa Ali won the TNA X Division title in his debut. That's pretty much the takeaway from No Surrender. Now let's go to Japan and talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. The only real big takeaways from this event that I jotted down at least was Matt Riddle won the NJPW Television Championship. Nick Nemeth won the NJPW Global Championship, and Tama Tonga had his final match for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, yeah, not really much to talk about this weekend. It's been just one of those kind of okay weekends. Again, we're on the road to WrestleMania, so there's a lot going on with that. Um, but as far as anything really to take away from this past weekend, not really much to talk about other than, you know, Elimination Chamber, which Rhea retained her championship, Becky won her chamber, and Drew won his chamber. So, yeah, that's pretty much. And Elimination Chamber was just a big brouhaha for Rhea Ripley, honestly. There was no real big takeaways from it. I mean, I kind of had a feeling that Becky was going to win her chamber, so that way it'd be Rhea versus Becky at Mania. Drew won his, so Drew would get his title shot against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Not really much to talk about. Cody did challenge The Rock to a future match, so there could be something there with that. And also on Dynamite, from what I saw, they've mostly been building up the Sting match, Sting's final match at Revolution. That's pretty much the extent of what's been going on in wrestling. Um, yeah, it's been boring. Is the best way to put it. Um, and also, I want to thank our sponsors for making the show possible. Snaps and Straps. They do all your custom belts. They've worked with major wrestling companies like Impact Wrestling and Wrestling Revolver and different places like that. Um, but yeah, not really much to go on or to talk about. With this is one of those lag periods with wrestling where it's kind of okay. We're building towards WrestleMania, and what do we do with that? Pretty much. So that's pretty much the extent of what I have for this week. It's been kind of crazy. My guest should be coming on here pretty soon, so just stick with me, people. I'm trying here. You know, one man show. It sucks. It's a one man show here. Worst one I ever done. God bless America. So, does anyone have any questions out there? Because if you have questions, just post them. Because I'm just sitting here looking pretty at this point, and that's really hard for me to do because I'm an ugly son of a bitch. Yep. So that's pretty much the extent of everything. But yeah, I will say though, the Elimination Chamber was just it was a weird time to watch a pay per view at 5 o'clock in the morning, unless you're used to the New Japan stuff. Um, which I mean I am, but I'm not at the same time. If that makes sense. Uh, yeah, it was crazy. I didn't watch it live. I wasn't up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, but the Eric Young being number one contender, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. Mustafa Ali becoming the first person to win the X Division Championship in his debut for Impact Wrestling. That's kind of huge. It's never been done before. Um, all in all, from the shows that happened this past weekend, I would say if you want your fill of wrestling, I would say watch No Surrender and NJPW because again, WWE just felt like a SmackDown that was like billed as a premium live event. That's literally how it felt. Nothing really to write home about. Nothing that really popped, at least to me, because everything that I said was going to happen ended up happening. Um, so I mean, it's weird, okay? Because like I want to be unbiased as I possibly can, but to me, in the lag period between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania is normally when WWE begins to pick up storyline wise. Um, I'm not seeing that so far. So it's kind of one of those things of what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Are they saving the ammunition for WrestleMania? Which I mean would make sense with WrestleMania being the big blow off of everything. Now I know there's been a lot of people wondering what's going to happen with this Netflix deal next year. I have been looking into it. As far as I know, it's just Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and I'm assuming their back catalog will be going to Netflix in January. From what I've read, I could be way off based on that. That's just what I've been reading. So, how's everybody's weekend going? Because mine's just like bleh at this point. So that's enough for the notes, because yeah, ain't nothing else to really talk about. So let's just wait, see what happens. As you can tell, I'm excited to be here. I am exhausted. I've been up since 5. I apologize for my surroundings. So I'm getting some stuff handled. Um, so yeah, normally I'm more into it. It's just I don't know. It's like the last couple of days I've been kind of just in a funky state. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I'm just getting to the point of being just numb. I don't know. So, post your comments, post your questions, whatever you got, post them. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter, whatever you got to do. YouTube. I don't care. Post whatever. I got 3 people watching. Ask me something, please. Just ask me, please. I beg you. Now I have to. See what happens whenever I beg people? Not cool, bro. Not cool. I'm drinking Sprite. That's how bored I am right now. Dude, that's why you need 2 people to do a show because this is what happens. Nothing. Oh, I hate my life. Oh God. I really hate my life sometimes. Whoa. Hi. I can really use some help here. Just post a question. I don't care. Oh, we got 4 people watching now. Y'all went up to 4. I'm so happy. Post a question, please. Give my life meaning. Because right now it has none. Come on. Anytime now. Y'all can do this. I believe in you. I'm not getting your question. What's your question, dude? Can y'all like hear me at all? Like, let me know here because like I'm not getting any questions or anything from anybody. What's up?
Not much at all, just kind of dealing with the chaoticness of my line of work.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yeah, it is an everyday thing, but coaching people through it seems to be what I'm doing lately.
How's that going?
So everybody has a different kind of mindset, whereas I understand that things aren't going to be easy and that I'm going to fail a lot of times before things click. Other people are not used to trying or failing or adversity. So it's just a lot of the times telling them, are you sure you want to be in this line of work? Knowing that that's going to be a normal occurrence.
Right. So this is gonna be my new co-host, Jamie. Introduce yourself, Jamie, to everybody.
Hey everybody, I'm Jaymee Castles. I am a newly the 2024 AVN nominated performer, as well as the TEA nominated performer, which is the Trans Erotica Awards, and hopefully soon, fingers crossed, if y'all vote for me, the XBiz nominated performer. It's been a pretty interesting year, and yeah, just overall wrestling enthusiast, former wrestler, under training at least here in the DFW area, and just pretty big enthusiast of wrestling overall.
Awesomeness. So am I. so, um, you watched Dynamite, correct?
Yes, I did.
What exactly went on with Dynamite? I know they're building to Sting's final match, but is that pretty much the big takeaway?
For the most part, it seems to be, but I think what really was bothering a lot of people was the what appeared to be kind of a weird finish with the main event. It looked like Hangman Page might have been injured, but nobody's heard anything as of yet. So fingers crossed that's not going to be the case.
So, what do you think Ric Flair's role is going to be in Sting's final match? I mean, we saw him talking to the Young Bucks.
Oh my God. I have so many mixed feelings about Ric Flair overall, just not being a fan of him as a person, but I'm one of the people that can't separate the art from the artist. So to that, I'll just say whatever shenanigans they pull, I just hope that it at least helps advance somebody's career in this case, because I kind of don't see why it's the Young Bucks being put in that position, other than just to catapult them into being super heels. Um, I know that there's going to be something going on. I find it very rare for Sting to probably not be a traditionalist and want to go out on his back, putting somebody over like you're supposed to do. But we'll see.
I mean, honestly, I think it should have been Darby versus Sting. I think that would have been like the ultimate match that I think everyone wanted.
Yeah, but I don't think Sting. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sting can go, but I don't think he'll be able to deliver a solid singles match. Which is why you kind of want to be a tag team. It helps make you and protect you in the process of not killing your body too much. However, he's
Yeah.
been pulling off a lot of crazy stunts that might say otherwise, but I
So
don't know. That's
yeah,
just me.
what's your take on Matt Riddle and Nick Nemeth winning NJPW championships?
Another person who I don't like in real life, just because of the allegations and domestic assault abuse and just overall not being a good person. But Matt Riddle, I guess everybody deserves redemption. Here's hoping that he might be able to redeem himself at one point and be in the good graces of everybody else. I'm happy for Nick Nemeth. However, I just hope that the audience could connect with him more because from the looks of it, it seems that the audience was just not buying it or feeling it at the time. And I know that we can use the excuse that it's a Japanese crowd, but it hasn't been crickets in Japanese wrestling for a while. They do exclaim, they do cheer, they do get excited and loud, and I didn't hear any of that for either of those two.
I think it's going to take some time because they haven't really been there as often. I mean,
True.
it takes some time to get that because like whenever Kenny was there, people were going nuts. But of course, Kenny mainstayed there for a long time.
No, right. I mean, it took him a while to be established at that point. But I would imagine that with being under the machine of the WWE, I guess it just goes to show that not everybody's going to know you.
Right. I mean, they kind of did the same thing whenever Sasha Banks made her debut. They kind of were just like, okay, kind of indifferent to it.
I suppose, because it seems like when Cody went there, people were already clamoring for it and were excited for it.
And also, Tama Tonga had his final New Japan match, well, contractually this past weekend. So I guess Tama's on his
I'm
way
pretty
out. I don't know if that means he's going to go to WWE, AEW, or somewhere else.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna likely be going to the WWE. It would probably be to his benefit more than anything, to just kind of cash those checks at this point. I would like to see him in AEW, but I don't know to what capacity. Maybe that might be the opportunity that he has to flourish as a singles competitor.
Well, I mean, he's been doing single stuff in Japan, hasn't he, for the last couple of years at least?
He
Because his
has, but I
brother's
don't think
been
it's
out with an
necessarily
injury.
right, right. He has, except I don't think it's necessarily taken off as much as he wanted to,
Hmm. Well, I mean,
because
I
it's
do
just been
know
the
that.
never open weight.
Yeah, I do know that he's part of the infamous Samoan dynasty, so there could be a way to bring him into the bloodline.
Exactly. On top of the fact that he's one of the few people that could actually go in that bloodline so far, because it seems that everybody else is just, aside from the Usos, has kind of lost a little bit of speed, or just has lost a step recently.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the possible Rock versus Cody match coming off Elimination Chamber, where Cody did challenge The Rock to a match?
I I wish Cody nothing but the best in this case. I feel like I'm one of those polarizing, annoying wrestling fans. Maybe I'm not necessarily a bandwagoner, but the WWE has done me wrong so many times that I just take glimpses every now and then as far as just what's going on, and just I feel like they haven't handled the situation with Cody or with Roman Reigns very well because very much like a WWE thing, they have the one guy that they put everything into, and it just gets stale after a couple years of seeing the same old thing. I mean, not long ago, we just had the meme of Cena wins. Before that, it was just whoever else they had on top, whether it was just Triple H or just whatever it might have been. And now it's just the bloodlines kind of run stale for me. And I just kind of hope that they do the right thing for once and kind of cater to the fans without the fans having to hijack the show. I would love to see Cody win, but I'm
Well,
not going to hold my breath.
according to what I've read, the fans kind of hijacked WrestleMania already because the initial plan was for them to move forward with Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. But then with all the "we want Cody" hashtags and stuff like that, made AWE change direction entirely.
Yeah, and then they feed the rhetoric that, oh, this is no, the fans don't know who Cody is. The fans don't know what they want. We're gonna give them the big show. We're not literally. We're gonna give them the Rock versus Roman because that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, everyone wants that because apparently it's like a big marquee match or whatever. I think if you're gonna do Rock versus Roman, it should have happened like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, like they kind of missed the mark on that. They're striking while the hammer is fucking frigid cold. Uh, but I just I got burnt out on the WWE, especially when their WrestleManias are like over 8 hours or 2 days long. I
Yeah,
just it is so difficult being a WWE fan or trying to enjoy their product lately, for me at least.
I will say it has gotten, at least on the creative side, somewhat better. Now that all that stuff about Vince came out, and he's completely gone from the company.
Is Pritchard gone too?
They're working on getting him out. Johnny Ace is gone, and he's been rolling over on Vince in court a lot.
Beautiful. Love to see it. It only took them what? When was the time that they covered up Superfly Snuka's murder in the 80s? It only took them about 40 years for them to finally come to their senses.
Dude, there's so much covered up whenever it comes to him. You have the steroid scandal, you have the ring boy scandal, you have the Snuka murder, you have the Ashley Mazzaro thing that happened over in Kuwait, and now all of this that's coming out. Brock Lesnar's been like excommunicated as well. So there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, yeah. It turns out that like a lot of people behind the scenes were actual pieces of shit.
Yeah,
So that
surprising.
not necessarily, no. I mean, in the little time that I spent adjacent inside the wrestling business, the amount of times that I have overheard a promoter sleeping with talent or abusing talent or playing favorites because of whatever reason or having a dealer get over because that's his boy that gets him some drugs, like it's not surprising in the least, but I just, I would kind of wish that it could be better and people would realize not to give that much power to one person because shit like that happens.
Yeah. So what made you step away from wrestling, if you don't mind me asking?
COVID. I was actually gonna have like my official debut match. I think it would have been March the 20th of 2020, and we just shut down in Texas. And at that point, I couldn't go to wrestling training, and we started working from home. And much like everybody else, I kind of had some moment of self-reflection, and that's when I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and live my life the way that I wanted outside of wrestling. And one thing led to another. It's kind of my transition origin story in a way. I transitioned from there. Uh, Not long from there, it would have been July 14 of 2020. Fast forward a couple of years, I got some feelers for getting into the adult industry, and um, here we are. But that's a long story short, right there, that rendition. But I also didn't want to return back to wrestling because I kinda didn't feel like it would have been the right time to go as a newly transitioning person in Texas, because it just would have been a bit of a mess depending on where they would have stuck me at and who I was gonna be pissing off for the wrong reasons.
So have you thought about going back now, or are you still thinking on that?
I I definitely would wanna recover at least a year from my surgeries because the last thing I want is something to get knocked out of place on my face or yeah, just mainly that. I kinda wanna make sure to let everything set in place 'cause everything is still there, the muscle memory is still there. Um, it's just a matter of having that reassurance that I'm not gonna get injured as quickly because it's not like we have a union for benefits and insurance in the wrestling industry, you're kinda left on your own.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially like in Kentucky, it's worse.
Yeah, yeah, well, at least y'all guys have OVW over there though, right?
Yeah, we have
Or
OVW and like I think there's like four other independent companies around here.
oh, speaking of independent companies, I just forgot Booker T's company's like in hot water recently
What's going on now?
in Texas because like there was a there I think there was also another story of I might be paraphrasing here some sexual allegations that he to paraphrase this again, he basically told the person speaking out that they shouldn't have spoken out. And yeah, like
Wow.
that's kind of been getting a lot of bad attention lately.
Yeah, I would say so. That would explain why he's not been on NXT.
I would do it.
Cause like at least from the last NXT that I saw, he wasn't on commentary. I don't know if he's back or not.
I mean, it's not like we're gonna be missing much from his commentary takes. He wasn't necessarily the it factor for being a good color commentator, in my opinion.
No, okay. So in your opinion, who's the best color commentator? Who's the best
Current
commentating duo?
Currently, right now, the best color commentator probably has to be Nigel McGuinness. Like, the amount of just hype and hate that he can spew towards somebody and make a show sound better, he has to be my favorite go-to color commentator. My favorite just play-by-play would be Excalibur currently.
Nigel's really good on really good color. I mean, I liked him a lot in Ring of Honor before Ring of Honor got bought by AEW.
Right, right. I'm kinda surprised that he wasn't still on Ring of Honor, but I guess they have good thing going with Patrice Coleman and, and Robert Kelly, or was it Bobby Kelly? Yeah, I forget, or Ian Riccaboni.
Ian. It's Ian Riccaboni, yeah.
Eh, yeah.
So, do you like the new version of Ring of Honor, or do you prefer the old version of Ring of Honor?
Well, I definitely prefer the old version of Ring of Honor. It was for sure a lot more intimate. It still is when you go to the shows, but it has that feel to it where it has a lot more production value to it now. Because I was able to check out Final Battle this year in my hometown. But I do miss the smaller venues, and I do miss the fans going crazy for it, the meet and greets, and just people going crazy, throwing the streamers into the ring before a match starts or after it finishes. Not having that there anymore, those little things really go a long way in making me just feel like I'm just watching up a polished up version of Ring of Honor. But I guess that's kind of the way that things go eventually. I mean, we can't have Raw is War in 2024. We kind of have to have the more updated version of it, much like
Yeah.
how we can't have a 1990s ECW in the current era. The closest thing we can get is GCW, and that's really not the same.
No, it's really not. And in my area, we have IWA Mid South, which I believe at one time was ran by Ian Rodden. I'm not sure if it still is or not, but that's the closest we get to any kind of hardcore stuff, at least in my area.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I hate the fact that we used to have the sportatorium here, and obviously history happened, and we kind of had to shut that down, and now we just have a handful of indies all over the Texas region. But it's just not the same, and it's as close as we've ever been to the territory eras, in my opinion, with all the indie promotions and all the other promotions on TV. But there's just something missing about it. I know some people feel that it's just because of the fact that kayfabe.
Okay. And we're waiting on her to return. So I'm just gonna jot some stuff down. So yeah, this is fun. It's amazing. So how's everybody feeling out there today, huh? Y'all feeling good? I'm feeling alright. That was not planned. Like I'm not getting any comments like at all, bro. What the heck is going on, dude? Check something real quick. Why am I not getting any comments? You back?
Sorry about that, everybody. My cat tripped over a wire.
Yeah, it happens. So we were talking about the sportatorium and kayfabe and all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the illusion's gone and it's always going to be gone, just very much like how in Hollywood you tend to hear about all the behind the scenes bullshit that happens, or even in just regular sports. Typically, the drama that happens behind the scenes supersedes what's going on in front on the TV screen most of the time. And you kind of have to play to your strengths on that situation now, which I feel like some people are, and some people don't know how to do that.
Right. Um. So, what else you want to talk about?
Well, I would actually just want to check and see what's the current card for WrestleMania at the moment, because like do they have anything
Uh,
planned in terms of
as far as
predictions?
I know, now this could change because the cards are always subject to change. Um, I believe we got Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley for the women's title because Becky won her chamber match in Australia. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins for the world championship. And I believe we have Io versus Bailey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And of course, Cody versus Roman.
I thought Seth was going to be out for a long time.
Well, I don't know what's going on because they're teasing a tag team match with Seth and Cody versus Rock and Roman, which could possibly happen at WrestleMania Night 1.
That seems weird. Here's hoping that they're not necessarily going to be eh, forcing Rollins in a position that is going to just exacerbate his injury more, because I feel like that might be the
Well,
case.
I think what's going to happen is if they do the tag team match, it's going to protect Rollins because Cody and Roman will work a majority of the match because they can still go. Because Rock obviously can't. He did a spine buster to Jinder Mahal and was sucking wind. Um,
Yeah, I saw that. It
so
was pretty bad.
so I think what they're going to do if they do a tag team match is Cody and Roman are going to work a majority of it while Rollins and Rock do whatever, and the way this could tie into Drew McIntyre is have is if this is just me doing my fantasy creative, have Rock and Roman win the tag team match, then have McIntyre come down, do two claymores to Seth Rollins, and win the world title.
Fingers crossed. I also am just kind of worried um, if Cody's going to be able to be a good heel champion that the company can get behind, because I feel like that might not happen. As a heel, he probably could. Um, I kind of want to bring like black hair Cody Rhodes back, but I know he doesn't want to do that anymore, or just do a Homelander Cody Rhodes. But
Right.
I don't think that he's a great guy. I've met him in person a few times, but it's just I don't think that it's gonna stick or have a lot of longevity being a babyface champion.
It won't. What I think what's gonna happen, and this is what's been talked about, is if Cody does win the world title at WrestleMania, the feud going into the summer is gonna be him and Randy Orton.
And Randy Orton even still go? It seems like he's breaking apart too.
He can still somewhat go. I know that I know he did something to his back at the Elimination Chamber.
Ugh. Mm.
Like he did a DDT spot from where he has him on the ropes or whatever, and he did it to the hardwood paneling of the chamber, and I think he landed.
That is bad. That is bad, bad. Do you think any of that could be mitigated by people actually not having to work the WWE schedule or actually just kind of reserving their stars or kind of rotating them out? Or do you feel that they still have to keep the schedule that they do? Because I know that that's one of the more intense regiments that they have for their house shows.
Honestly, I think at this point with all the injuries, they're gonna have to start rotating them out
Yeah, I feel like they need to give them an off season, give them fans a little bit something more to look forward to when they come back.
because I mean you got Rollins who's got the what is it, a knee injury of some kind.
I
Um,
think everybody has a knee injury to some degree for the most part. That's the
no, like
majority of
I'm just trying to
everybody.
figure out if it was like a MCL or ACL or something like that. Um,
Mm.
you got Randy with the back injury, and you got CM Punk out for about 6 months due to a pectoral injury or something like that from where he got the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I really think they need a with as much money as the WWE has, I'm kind of surprised that not everybody is just like into more rehab treatment on their off time, or hell, they might not even have any off time to do that, frankly.
Because I know that I believe they should be out of Australia and wherever they're going to be for Raw tomorrow night.
Mm, mm. Yeah, while it's not as prevalent because I mean you kind of make your own schedule on the AEW and Ring of Honor side with your indies that you take. They seem to be having a
It's the
lot
same
less
way with
injuries,
it's the same way with
but
TNA.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I just kind of wish that, well, for one, that they gave certain people breaks because I think the ongoing joke is that Moxley needs a fucking vacation. So here's
He needs
hoping that,
something. He needs to get a blood
yeah, I mean,
transfusion.
he, yeah, he's bloodletting a little bit too much, though. I mean,
Whatever
you can
you
recover from that pretty quickly.
whatever you do, do not tell Moxley that you're watching the movie Blade because then he'll blade.
Oh my god. Matt, the bell rings, Moxley's already bleeding. That's how you know it's a good show.
I know, right? That's how you know it's the greatest show ever. I mean,
Well,
don't
I
get me
mean,
wrong. There's certain parts of AEW I like. Then there's certain parts of AEW I don't like. You know, it's just one of those things. It's kind of what do you do? Like like AEW just I don't know. I think the reason why I'm not a big fan of AEW is the simple fact I've seen it with like Ring of Honor and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things. Wait for her to see if she can come back in. If not, then I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. There we go.
Sorry about that, but yeah, I mean, we've seen it with like TNA during the Hogan and Bischoff reign. We saw it during WCW during the Bischoff and Hogan reign. Um, yeah, I just kind of hope that people can actually learn from their mistakes and not give the reins to people that are just going to tank the company. But then again, everybody always thinks that you got to run a company the way that Vince does, which is also not the solution.
It's not, but the reason why people think that is because he's proven over the last 50 some odd years you can run it this way and be successful.
Yeah, but if you do that, then everybody's going to be doing the same thing, and you risk just again having a monopoly and just having a stale product. I, for one, am a fan of people just doing things differently, and I mean, if we want to go by that argument, just look at CMLL, AAA, or New Japan, who have been doing it for just as long, and
Yeah,
they've been doing just well.
exactly. They have. I think the problem, especially with the Americanized version of wrestling, is people look to the WWE and say, okay, what are they doing that we can somewhat copy and change? They did it with WCW, they did it with TNA, and they're somewhat doing it with AEW now.
Yeah, I agree, but I at least hope that they can learn from their mistakes and polish things up, and not necessarily just have it be a flash in the pan where it just goes away. Um, I have high hopes because I want there to be competition. I want there to be somewhere that's not just WWE because I've been burnt out and hurt so many times on the WWE product because they just don't do certain things or can't offer certain things just because of the way that they are as a business. And instead of just going to my local indie shows, I would just prefer to have something like that on TV.
Right. So I mean, hopefully Tony Khan can write the path a little bit and navigate away from what WWE is doing, and concentrate more on what AEW needs to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That and just stop looking like he's just strung out on coke the whole time
I
or
think that's
whatever
just
that
his.
might be.
I think that's just his face.
He just has permacoke face.
Yeah, pretty much. He's been doing it so freaking much. I mean, it's just there now.
I think I recall the invisible glass table where Tony is just having a mountain of ideas in powder form. But
Yeah, pretty much.
I hope that's not true. I hope that if I do get to meet Tony, because lately I've actually been mingling with a lot of people backstage. I actually get to be a part of something, or at least I don't know, whore myself out and model some merch for people because I'll do that from time to time.
Money is money. Okay.
Hey, I agree. I kind of tend to prefer my line of work currently because it's a lot more fun than getting figuratively fucked over in the office job, as opposed to
Yeah.
it is literally fucking people on cam
And I
while
mean,
making just as much.
honestly, with your line of work, you'll fit in perfect with AEW because half of them do OnlyFans.
That is true. I mean, I know that a couple of them have hit me up for some advice on OnlyFans, but not to name names. Uh, I will just say that for everybody in that venture and everybody in that world, uh, try to focus away from OnlyFans because they're very, very restrictive and currently are just kind of a bit of a dickish company with bad representation and bad help for the performers. Instead, go to Fansly or a different platform because again, OnlyFans is having the problem of being the monopoly where they're the biggest person involved, and as a result, they kind of tend to fuck over a lot more people. So for everybody listening, support your workers on other platforms that aren't OnlyFans.
Yes. Yes. And support your local wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. Go to that indie show. Have fun. It is going to be way more better than being stuck at night on a Friday watching whatever's going to be on TV. Go catch
Yeah.
your local indie show.
Oh, definitely. Like if you'd never been to a independent show, you are missing out. It is crazy. Like you
Yeah,
get the like
it is one of the better highlights of just it has that passion that's missing from a lot of wrestling lately on TV.
yeah, and like you get the entire spectrum of the world at an independent show.
And you get a
It's in
whole spectrum of people that are on the spectrum too.
yes, this is also true. This is also very much true.
That
You
and
get
also you get to
those.
mingle with the wrestlers too, which is something that you
Yo,
can't do on most
yeah.
WWE shows.
I mean, that's how I met like Wildcat Chris Harris and stuff like that because he used to wrestle in Georgetown, Kentucky before he made it big in like WCW and TNA.
Oh yeah. Like that's actually how I got along well with Cody Rhodes too, because he used to go to the school that I used to train to every time he passed by here, and he used to live around the DFW area also.
Doesn't he live in Atlanta now?
He does, but like prior to that, like he actually lived in like he had a place over here in DFW.
Hmm, nice. I did not know this. I
Yeah.
know Dustin. I know Dustin still lives there.
Yeah, I mean Texas is a very strategic place to live in terms of just travel because airline wise, if you're in Houston, Dallas, or Austin, you're no more than maybe about 4 to 5 hours from any major city in the country. So it's not having to deal with that torturous flight that you would coast to coast.
So, question: what was your takeaway from the Iron Claw movie? I know we talked about it before, but what was your big takeaway from it?
I
And
feel
did you
like the
enjoy
real
it?
life story. Um, it's a solid 6.5 out of 10. Um, I thought it was funny who they casted for Ric Flair. I know what they did because they just didn't. They weren't going to have Flair for a lot of screen time, but they could have frankly done a better position with probably the most famous wrestler known in the world currently.
Right.
But a solid 6.5 out of 10. It was funny seeing it with people that don't know the story about it, and they were being brought to tears by the whole situation. And then I had to show them the documentaries about just how actually much more fucked up it was, and them realizing that they like cut off so much from the movie as a result of that. Um, I think they did a good job with what they had,
Yeah.
but
And also,
I just
the director
I
did say he didn't want another documentary type film.
it didn't have to be necessarily, but the fact that they left out how the youngest brother died and just how a couple of the other brothers died too, specifically, I don't know. I mean, 10 out of 10, Jeremy Allen White, it was hot in that movie, so I'll give them that. Um, outside of that, I'd say it's a good movie for the non-casual wrestling fan to just enjoy. Um, I really hope that the Benoit movie never comes out because that's going to be a bad one regarding that situation. And
If they make
that
that,
was also a moment. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to do that. I know Liev Schreiber was going to play him at one point, but they backed out of that right away.
movie, I'm going to question my wrestling fandom real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I was the biggest Benoit fan before that happened, and then I like a lot of people that love to separate the art from the artist. I'm like, I can't do that. That's no, you can't. Like, I hate.
I mean, whenever it comes to Benoit, it's a little bit harder to separate the two because the reason why a lot of what happened, it came from his art. So you really
Yeah,
can't
like
differentiate the two.
it blended into one whole person.
I
But a lot
mean,
of people
like,
don't realize that, and they just kind of take it for what it is, and will say dumb shit like, you kind of still have to enjoy the work. I mean, like, do I go back and study tape of his when I was a wrestler for like getting a match together? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not going to necessarily be the Benoit fangirl that's going to die on that hill. I'm like, no,
I
like,
mean,
th-
Benoit, as far as as far as wrestling goes, Benoit was a great talent. Now,
yeah,
later on, later on, with everything that happened, I can't say that anymore, and it hurts me to say that. Like, And he, in my opinion, if it didn't happen, he should have his own wing in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yeah. Now we have like variations of Benoit where it's like Edge doing the crippler crossface, or Brian Danielson doing the diving headbutt, or having like your technicians out there like your Roderick Strongs or your Zack Sabre Juniors. But it's just you'll never have that. And it's kind of funny because his hero, Dynamite Kid, was also a piece of shit. So I mean,
Yeah. So it's kind of, one of those things. Didn't Dynamite
yeah, I mean,
almost do the didn't Dynamite almost do the same thing that Benoit did to his wife?
yeah, he definitely beat up his wife a lot. But I think him being in a wheelchair kind of got in the way of like finishing the job. Uh, at some point, I will say that if they do have to choose a movie to go by, it's never not going to be shitty if they go off of families, because it's just. I mean, even if it's just a solo wrestler, Roddy Piper is going to have a sad ending. The Guerrero family is going to have a sad ending. The Hart family is gonna have a horrible mid chapter once it comes to Owen. Um,
I don't think that Martha will let that happen.
yeah, yeah, fuck.
Because I mean,
But
Martha wouldn't let Owen go into the Hall of Fame in WWE. So
no, yeah, I mean, like that kind of speaks for the good graces of AEW, at least considering the fact that they let him be mentioned and honored for the first time since the event, and that was an AEW show. That wasn't WWE.
no, and don't they do like a annual tournament kind of thing for Owen Hart?
I think so, but I don't think they did one last year, at least not that I recall. Maybe I forgot about it already because I have the worst memory, but they have been doing that.
So are you going to order Revolution or attempt to watch Revolution?
I like how you say attempt to watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna order it. Thankfully, I have a couple of people that help fund my wrestling addiction, and thank you to my loyal fans that do pay for that. By the way, yeah, I will most definitely be enjoying that. I just kind of find it a little bit uh just I'm still kind of struggling with the fact that like Kenny Omega is out the way that he is, and just hoping that he's able to bounce back from that because diverticulitis is like one of the big ones.
Yeah, yeah. I think Brock Lesnar had that in UFC.
Yeah, he did. That took him out for the longest.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. Well, this has been a fun conversation, other than the technical difficulties and stuff like that. This has been fun. So, do you think that you would want to come back next Sunday? Well, guys, this has been a fun conversation. I will catch y'all on the flip. Y'all have a good one.